So if you had the power to change, not change the law, but have an influence on the law and what happens in the courts, would you call for rehabilitation rather than jail in certain circumstances then?
Difficult to say. I think
depending on the situation.
Yeah, I think if I'm in a position from a national level point of view, we must clamp down on the influx of drugs coming into the country. I'm still of the opinion from where I am sitting, our borders is to open. You cannot. I see many documentaries. I talk to many foreign people, foreign visitors visiting the Western Cape. I attend many functions and that is the buzzword you hear on a day-to-day basis. How can you South Africans allow your borders to be open for each and every Tom, Dick and Harry just to walk over the border into your country, bring all their issues with them into the country? We're not saying we don't want them. We're saying the good people, yes. We are saying the law-abiding people. Doesn't matter if they are educated or not educated. But if they are good law-abiding people. But now all the wrong, the scum of the world is also coming to South Africa.
We shouldn't build all the wall, Dan Plato.
That's a different discussion. Look, let me tell you something about that. If Donald Trump is going to get that right in the States on the Mexican border, that will send out a ripple effect across the whole world. And many people is watching that one with eagle eyes.
Absolutely.
Because if anyone want to do something like that in South Africa, you start treated as a racist almost immediately. It's to be seen what people are going to call Donald Trump at the time. And then the question will be, are very strict human rights laws, how relevant will that be?
That applies there in America as well, so he can't just do what he wants because there are laws in place which restrict him, Senate and Congress, so you'll have a difficult time to get that right.
Definitely.
So tell me about your portfolio, MEC of Community Safety, what does that entail?
Well, we do not have operational control over the police. Our role as enshrined in the Constitution, Section 206 of the Constitution, to some extent Section 205 as well, is very clear. That is of oversight over the role of the police, oversight, monitoring, but also many other functions. Can receive reports, can give a directive to the police, make recommendations, and that is what I'm doing. And looking at oversight in the Western Cape, we try our best to mastermind our oversight function. That is why we have created the Khayelitsha Commission of Inquiry.
Is that finalized?
And that is finalized. We implement the commission, we implement the recommendations, and there's still a lot of work in that respect to be done. We created in the Western Cape the Community Safety Act, looking at specifically the roles of the neighborhood watchers. Neighborhood watchers was never taken up in a legislative kind of a framework. Now they do have a legislative framework. CPFs had a legislative framework and do have it still. That is written up in the Police Act, Section 18 of the Police Act. But at the end of the day, also to give the necessary recognition, also to other safety role players in the community, structure the necessary meaningful partnerships, and current partnerships with religious institutions, with any organization operating in the field of safety and having an interest in safety around them in their communities, and also private security, partnerships with private security entities. Definitely, they are part of the safety family after all, and we're putting a lot of emphasis on the valuable work, or let me say invaluable work done by neighborhood watchers and also CPS. But also we structured the walking buses. Walking buses is where we upcommand specifically our mums and dads that is at home not working, that have kids at school, or even if you do not have kids in a specific school, but the school operate situated in your community, and you create for the youngsters a safe passage to school, to get rid of the bullying on the way to school, gangsters putting chappies on the kids' shoulders, try to sell their product, their tik and other drugs to the children, take their cell phones, take their lunch boxes and things like that. And also for parents to say, with everything criminality-wise that's happening on a school terrain, adopt a school, 10, 12 parents for a couple of days long, protect the perimeter, see that everything goes okay on a school terrain. And I think there's a lot communities can do to assist the police, to assist government in keeping their environment and their areas safe as far as possible. You know, due to the fact, I have said it all the time for the last couple of years, 85% of our police stations in the Western Cape is under-resourced. Police doing its level best to
There are many good police.
Up their targets, and we did receive a couple of hundreds of new recruits last year. They were deployed in Cape Town, in the violence-stricken areas, and across the Western Cape province. But at the end of the day, the police cannot do it alone. And it is not expected from us as ordinary citizens just to sit back, to sit at home and to say we're a taxpayer. Government must do everything safety-wise for us. Unfortunately, we are not living in a first world country. We're living in South Africa. Still a lot of poverty, still a lot of unemployment. And those people will say to you, I go and steal to keep my pot cooking, to put bread on the table, and we need to be aware of those issues. People will criticize me for saying that, but after all, there's things like reality. We need to face up to reality and be aware of what's happening around us. And at the end of the day, I'm very confident about South Africa and the Western Cape. If the law-abiding citizens in a community stand together, begin to unite, taking hands, assist your CPF, assist your neighborhood watch, structure their street committees, become part of the walking bus, we are well underway in creating a much safer community and environment for ourselves.
Dan, there was some bad press the last few weeks. Talk us through that and talk us about what actually happened, because there was stories going around about you. Tell us the real truth.
Look, that is something I really don't want to talk about. It's fine. I will give you some insight to that. I want to put the issue behind me. It wasn't a nice issue. It was a case of where someone went to stay in a guest house and said and convinced the guest house owner that Dan Plato will pay the bill. That is where it boils down to, that Dan Plato never committed himself to pay the bill. And at the end of the day, that person was then arrested by the police. He is in a incarceration center currently, and the guest house owner never confirmed with me that I will indeed pay the bill, and that's the big issue. And I had a meeting. Everybody asked me, why did you have to go and sit with the guest house owner? I said, because I have nothing to hide.
To defend yourself.
And not really to defend myself, but to say to him what is going on. Look, and for a guest house owner to allow a person, look, I was called only when that amount, that bill, ran up to over 70,000 rand. And that's what I said to the guest house owner.
That's a lot of money.
Why didn't you call me when that amount of money was 10,000 rand? Or when the person said that evening. Now, any guest house owner worth his salt would have immediately picked up the phone, make a couple of phone calls to say, Dan Plato, I've got this person here. Are you really going to pay the bill? Confirm it to me in writing. Send me an email. Nothing like that happened. And give the person a car, your vehicle, a person you don't know. Give the person a cell phone. breakfast and everything that goes along with it, and never making any inquiries, and want to tear a MEC apart when the MEC says he is not going to pay. Look, in my world, every day many politicians facing the same problem, people knocking on your door, specifically us coming from disadvantaged communities. You need to give back your social responsibilities. And what I've said at the time to the person, listen, I will, for you overstay, and man, don't worry, I will contribute to your payment. And
I take your kindness and use that.
And that's what, and you give her 300, 400, 500 rand, and you walk away from it. You assist someone. Like now, with kids going to school, buying kids their books, their stationery, buying them shoes, buying them their pants and that sort of thing. That is what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Our soup kitchens. I run my own soup kitchens in the communities, and providing people soup and every weekend and so forth. And it's money out of your pocket, and you say, let it go. That is your social responsibilities. But and I phoned back the next morning and I said, listen, what is your bank account number? Can I still want to contribute to your overnight stay. What is the amount of money? And telling me, sorry sir, we're not talking about a couple of hundreds of rands. We're talking here about a couple of thousands of rands. And I then said, sorry, stop the bus. I will not do something like that even to my best friend and so on. That best friend of mine will say to me, Dan Plato, go and take a hike. And for an amount of money, a bill that ran up to 87,000 rand, and then phone someone else to come and pay that. I think.
But the case is closed now. Other people have come forward, so that they've also been conned
and saying they were done in. Quite a number of them. It's astonishing. I would have been a statistic just myself.
So your name has been cleared, and
look, there was no fear on my side, nothing at all. I was not a scratch worried about the case. You explain to journalists, you say to journalists, this is the real story. They only write 5% of what you tell them, and 90% of what someone else. And I had to go through that difficulties, but it was amazing how many. I think in the report article, it was 7, 8 people coming forward. In the Son article, it was also about 6, 7, 8 coming forward. And to look at the amount of money, it was shocking. People walking into my office say to me, Dan Plato, I'm also a victim. I couldn't believe it. And even to learn, to hear, even journalists was done in. Journalists provided tens of thousands of rands as well. And although it's not necessary for me to mention journalists' names, but it just shows you how far people can get to get money out of you, to extort money out of you, to blackmail you and that sort of thing. And people just give. Looking at what you read in the newspapers with Ponzi schemes and all that stuff, are people by nature just give in, provide and give. I've said to myself, no, I'm definitely not gonna become another statistic.
I'm glad you didn't. Dan Plato, thank you for your time,
Pleasure.
sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Community Safety MEC in the Western Cape, Dan Plato, thank you for coming on the show. Another episode of Talking Point with Stephen Taylor. I will catch you back next week, same time, same place. God bless you. Much love. Bye-bye.